Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the most disturbing videos on the internet today. Let's dive in. Exploring an old church that turns into a nightmare. Let's take a closer look.
Hello? Oh my God! What the f is that?
Did you hear that yell?
Hello?
He was singing when he did that yell. Oh my goodness. He gets a 10 out of 10 for that yell.
Are you paying attention yet? This is starting to get crazy. Numerous countries in Europe are dealing with major power outages. So the two places that are majorly affected by these power outages are Spain and Portugal. Take a look at this satellite image. You can imagine how bad it must be there for them. Trains stopping in their tracks, traffic lights not working, no access to ATMs, gas, stores have no power. Their cell service is even affected. Can you imagine being in the dark, no power, no cell service? Their internet service is also down. And to make matters even worse, they don't even know how this even happened. So you must say to yourself, if that can happen there, that can happen anywhere. Here's some video of a train when it lost power and everyone was forced off the train onto the side of the rail bed. Watch. Look. Nowhere to go. No phone service, no rail service, stranded. And they're also claiming they can't purchase anything electronically. So you know what that means? They need cash. So they're trying to go to banks to get cash out. And guess what? There's no power. So you can't get cash out. Hopefully, this gets taken care of real quick and they figure out what happened. Let me know in the comments what you think happened. And as always, I'd love to hear from you. Are you paying attention yet?
Imagine owning an electric vehicle or something like that. You're super stranded. It's got me thinking about homesteading, solar power. You know, how can you make it work without electricity is the question.
Now, the weird part about these outages is that people still had cell phone service. So it makes you wonder what's still turned on, just like the cameras. Last year in Arizona, we had power outages. But what was interesting is when these group of people kind of went to this bank, you can imagine what they tried to do. We won't say that. But you can imagine what they tried to do. They just kind of roamed around the bank and they drove around the bank and they kind of checked everything while the power was out and everything. All of a sudden, about 10 squad cars pulled up. So it meant that the cameras were still working while the power was out. So it really makes you wonder what's actually happening. And this is why you should kind of question everything. When the power's really out and your cell phone towers or cell phone things are still working, there's still power. It's almost like a test. That's kind of what it is. That's what I would kind of think of it as. And it's almost kind of seeing what people will do. And now that you've got their phone, you can get their data as they text people in the panic saying, oh my gosh, I've got no money. I've got no this. I've got no that. It's all data. Data harvesting is what these events are. That's why I say people need to take a vacation, go out into nature, and spend time with nature. Because when you come back, you can kind of just see through the nonsense. But if you're hooked in, like the Matrix, and you're hooked into this social media and everything that's just trying to prey on your energy and harvest your energy and loose your energy all the time, well, then you can't see otherwise. Now, the weird part about the
Man, that is so true. Go out in nature, just hear the different birds. Might even find a couple cool specimens on the ground. Who knows? I wonder how long this has been going on. I just found out about it. How long has the UK been out without power? Spain, Portugal? How did this happen?
Okay, you guys, are we in ancient Rome or is this a high school in El Paso, Texas? As unbelievable as it sounds, this is El Paso High School. very Romanesque. And of course, there's no construction photos. This is what we got. It was one of the first things here in El Paso. They say they built this high school for $500,000, right around 10 million in today's money. And the last graduating class in El Paso before this enormous high school went up was 2 students. They had 2 high school degrees and they were like, we need a lot more. Let's build a Roman castle real quick. I'm hoping it's becoming obvious to everyone just how fake our history is. And our very recent past has been completely lied about, leaving all history up to question. It should really give us pause about all of our current narratives and what we think we know about the world and about our world history. I think it's a history of founders, not builders, quite clearly. That there are magnificent, impossible structures all over the world with incredibly shady histories. Just case in point, this is a recent high school built in the 60s in El Paso, and look at it. Looks like a very normal high school. So I think the academics took over everything in the early 1900s. They rewrote all the history books and gave us a cultural lobotomy, caused us to forget our true origins. And I'm really hoping we're all waking up to the reality that we're all in. That we have a glorious past as a species, incredibly enlightened past that needs to be rediscovered. Absolutely time for a new renaissance where people with real critical thinking skills can actually piece together our history. And I'm so grateful for all of you who interact with my post and share and are just doing your own research. Someone sent me this building. I would not have known about this if it wasn't for you guys. So let's just keep blowing the lid on this whole narrative. I do believe it's a numbers game, and inevitably this cat will totally come out of the bag, and it will never go back in. Okay, you guys, are we in ancient Rome?
You have to admit, this is definitely a bit much for a high school with only 2 students. Wow. Just tell us the truth already. What was this really for? If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button because we do these videos every single day. And I'd love to see you around here, so let's get straight back into the action.
Is our timeline really accurate? In the late 1800s, is our timeline really accurate? In the late 1800s, mysterious structures popped up all across the United States. These structures were towering beacons of light that stood 165 feet tall, illuminating entire city blocks. Beacons of light that were far more advanced than their time. The Moonlight Towers have a story that is hidden from the public eye. In 1894 in Austin, Texas, 31 of these towers were installed, and the state claimed they kept streets safe at night. But here's where it gets strange. They popped up in Detroit and San Jose as well, leading many to believe that these weren't just for lighting. These towers were part of a secret experiment in wireless energy transmission, inspired by Nikola Tesla's research. Tesla was able to harness energy from the Earth itself and transmit it wirelessly. But the mystery doesn't just end there. The towers were even used for communication, and some have gone as far to say they were used to contact faraway civilizations. So why were they taken down? By the early 20th century, most Moonlight Towers were dismantled. Officially, they were considered obsolete due to advances in electric street lighting. However, recent reports have shown they were deliberately removed to conceal the true nature of their abilities.
A Moonlight Tower, how interesting. This looks like it could be 20, 30 stories up. This isn't your average lighthouse.
So guys, we're looking at some crazy old world technology right here. Don't be fooled by thinking this is just extravagant architecture. The structures you see here once created free energy and etheric technology and electric through sound waves and frequencies that came from the atmosphere itself. So apparently this palace was built in 1782. I find that really hard to believe. This architecture looks like it's been here for a very long time. Just like the rest of the architecture you see around the world, the demonic entities came in and took over the buildings and made it their own. Does this really look like it was built in the late 1700s to you? Come on guys, this is old world technology. And also, all of the metal used on the structures are copper. Copper is the essential element to create free ether energy from the atmosphere. So why do you think that really is? Why do you think every architecture from the old world has pointed tops or have like these cone-shaped buildings? It's because it's cone technology, guys. Stay blessed, my guys.
This was the Grand Palace in Bangkok, old world technology. Strange things are happening in the sky. What do we have here?
You know that before.
It looks like a wheel within a wheel, as mentioned in Ezekiel, ushering in airships, if you ask me. UFO in Area 51. Let's take a closer look.
Oh yeah, but I'm not gonna.
Almost was saying that it looked like there was something on top of it, and then it just shot up into the stratosphere.
The ancient site of Monte de Cotti, you can find a mysterious Steely. This Steely was discovered during excavations of this 6,000-year-old ziggurat in Sardinia. And although we know a fair amount about this prehistoric site, there is something about this Steely which was not immediately obvious to the naked eye. Archaeologists have described this as anthropomorphic, and they believe the depiction represents a female figure with two large breasts. It is believed that the two appendices represent the arms and a large belt, but there was something on the Steely that was not immediately obvious at first glance. At the ancient site of Monte de Cotti,
There's no way that's what it was. It almost looks like it was inserted like a memory card or something into this embankment. What it is, I have no idea, but it's definitely of some ancient technology origin.
Oh, you already know we gotta talk about this. Giant megastructures found beneath the pyramids of Giza. You heard that right. Long lost civilization kinda confirmed. I really wonder if debunkers ever get tired of being wrong. Let's summarize everything about this find so far. I waited long enough before talking about it so enough info could come out and we could find out what's really going on. On March 16th, 2025, a conference was held in Italy discussing some new findings about the pyramids of Giza using a revolutionary non-invasive scanning technology called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. Yeah, try saying that 5 times fast. Or SAR for short. It's sort of like an X-ray radar type scanner that uses sound waves to penetrate the surface and see what's beneath it. And they found something beneath the middle pyramid of Khafre at the Giza Plateau, which initiated the Khafre project. The new scans show massive cylindrical structures that extend from the bottom of the pyramids way deep down into the bedrock below the surface. Pillars that appear to have some sort of wrapping coils or maybe pathways around them and go 648 meters underground. That's taller than the CN Tower, the Empire State Building, double the height of the Eiffel Tower. Not to mention over 4 times the height of the pyramid itself. This is how it would look like to scale. At the very bottom of these pillars are 2 huge 80 by 80 meter cubes, which are said to go down even further, reaching up to 2 kilometers beneath the surface. 2 kilometers. That's 1.25 miles down for all you Americans. The scans show there to be at least 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 rows, and just completely blows our understanding of dynastic Egyptians out of the water. The crazy conspiracy nuts may have been right this entire time. Now, what's really special about these synthetic aperture radar scans that led to this discovery is that they can be taken from a satellite. Unlike traditional ground-penetrating radar, which also shows us X-ray-like scans of what's beneath the surface, which requires the equipment to be used on the ground, and would hence also need special permission to be used in these ancient sites of interest. And we know ancient sites like Giza are very heavily guarded by certain gatekeepers. These can be taken from satellites in orbit, or even drones in the sky, meaning they have free range to scan virtually anywhere in the world, and don't require permission from the authorities of those ancient sites to investigate them, potentially ushering in a new era of independent researchers of those ancient sites that would have otherwise not been allowed to do so. We do have LiDAR drones which can take scans of the surface from the air, but those can't penetrate to see what's underground. This SAR technology was previously mainly used on volcanoes and other natural geological formations. But these guys right here, Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga, have brought it into the archaeological world, which they use not only to see what's under the Giza Plateau, but create 3D models of the pyramids as well, revealing 5 more previously unheard of chambers along the base of the pyramid of Khafre, each with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof. The same structure as the main king's chamber in the Great Pyramid, 5 more of which were now found in another pyramid. These 5 chambers appear to be connected by intricate pathways right above the 8 vertical pillars, and is why some believe the spirals may perhaps be staircases. The researchers behind this discovery themselves claim these structures are not only below the middle pyramid, but the entire Giza Plateau, with a complex underground network of structures, pathways, and chambers that interconnect interconnect all of the main pyramids, including Khafre, Khufu, and Menkaure, which, reminder, the data suggests may reach down up to 2 kilometers below the surface. This is insane. Was this meme right the entire time? Now, these 3D renderings of the structures are just artistic depictions based on the data and may not actually look anything like this. It's just a guess. But regardless of how they really look, there's just no way that dynastic Egyptians 4,000 years ago or even more could have built anything as sophisticated and enormous as this using the technology we know they had at the time. Given how incredibly monumental and complex these structures are, there's also no way these would have been built for aesthetic or even ritualistic purposes. Everyone agrees something like this would have been built for a more functional, perhaps a mechanical or even energy-related function, like the Giza power plant theory. A theory that suggests the pyramids harnessed the natural vibrations of the earth and converted them into energy used by the Egyptian Empire, or a more advanced civilization that existed there far, far before them. Christopher Dunn's Giza power plant theory does suggest there was some sort of mechanism that captured the natural resonances of the earth deep below the pyramids, which were then converted through a series of chambers and special processes to produce energy. And I mean, what better way to capture Earth's vibrational energy than by going 2 kilometers down below the surface, transmitting it upwards into the pyramids through long cylindrical wells with pathways that wrap around them that do seem to somewhat resemble a Tesla coil, a known transmitter of electricity, linking it to Nikola Tesla's attempt to capture energy from deep within the earth and transmit it wirelessly around the world for free through his Wardenclyffe Tower project, which he made no secret was inspired by the pyramids that he believed held a similar function, suggesting this could be further evidence that the pyramids were once in fact part of an ancient global energy grid. A crazy nonsense fringe theory that this find sorta does support. The researchers behind this find themselves suggest that a vast underground city exists beneath the pyramids and is exactly what we're looking at with their scans, where the legendary Hall of Records of lost pre-Atlantean knowledge is rumored to be found, and they even insist these structures could be up to 38,000 years old. Myths of underground cities beneath the Giza Plateau and the Sphinx have been circulating for centuries. We've even caught glimpses of incredible finds deep beneath the surface of Egypt, only for them to get closed up and swept under the rug all the time, like the discovery of chambers beneath the Sphinx that leading Egyptian authorities like Zahi Hawass himself bragged about and then later denied. Or the Tomb of the Birds, NC2, just off to the side, believed to be an entrance to this underground complex, but is now of course sealed and off limits. I don't think I even need to tell you that Egyptologists like Zahi Hawass and all your favorite internet Google debunkers are all calling this find complete nonsense, based on the fact that the abstract this discovery was based on was from an independent research team and not peer-reviewed, so therefore it must not be real. And you already know that even if it does get peer-reviewed by the experts, they're just gonna vehemently deny it like they've done with any other find of this nature. Also claiming that the SAR scanning technology is too new, isn't very accurate, and doesn't even go that deep. So the team actually tested it on the Osiris shaft, a known subterranean tunnel system in the Giza Plateau. And well, it was pretty accurate, mapping the shaft to a high level of detail, which we can confirm is what it actually looks like. SAR doesn't seem to be as unreliable as they claim. Through this test scan, they even stumbled upon what they claim to be an unopened sarcophagus deep in the Osiris shaft, among many other new, previously unheard of tunnels. Seriously, it's like every time someone scans something in the Giza Plateau, they find something new. Discoveries like these that completely shatter the narrative and go against everything that archaeology has been preaching for years does kind of require outside independent researchers to come in and shake things up, instead of relying on the jaded career archaeologists who have been taught and teach a certain paradigm for their entire lives. The next step here would be to go on the ground and perform more in-depth scans with ground-penetrating radar to get a better picture of what's really going on. But there's just one thing you'd need in order to do that: permission from the gatekeepers. And somehow I don't think they're gonna let anyone do that anytime soon, because every time we do make a discovery like this, it gets mocked, downplayed, and swept over, just like Göbekli Tepe, another narrative-altering ancient site they're excavating at a snail's pace and outright destroying it in the process. If there really were powers that be who want to control a certain narrative, it would be for good reason. They want to keep the public calm and in control. But if that's the case, discoveries like these will always get debunked, and anyone who supports them will get mocked and get called liars and frauds, as I'm sure my beloved debunkers are in the comments. In my opinion, it's our duty as independent thinkers to always question what we're told is real and keep our minds open, or we'll forever live blinded to what's really out there.
What if they use these pyramids to produce free energy? There's a couple different theories of what the pyramid could be. Some people said that they were giant reset generators, that they needed all of them to be activated to trigger a reset. Other people say power plants. You know what, however you spin it, it's generating some type of incredible energy. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
In 1938, there was a gentleman named Harold Burroughs Meyer, and he was a theatrical designer and a sound engineer. And he began developing techniques that would control the emotional response of audiences and to create mass hysteria. And so from there, you have this Rockefeller Rothschild alliance. What they were doing is not only were they looking at ways to steer the masses, but they wanted to change the standard tuning of A to 440 hertz. So in 1939, they began funding Joseph Goebbels, who was the Nazi propagandist. And at that time, Joseph Goebbels, he wanted to change the standard tuning of A. And so he organized a meeting in London to do that. And they didn't invite any of the French musicians because they were opposed to 440 hertz. And then the organizers of the conference, they interviewed musicians, the instrument makers, the physicists, and then also the sound engineers. And if any of those people were against 440 hertz, then they weren't invited to the conference. So it was all controlled. And as a result, it's not surprising that the standard tuning of A was changed to 440 hertz. And that happened June 1939, just months before World War II broke out. And the timing of that is no coincidence because 440 hertz is a destructive frequency, and that it can retrain our thoughts towards disharmony, disruption, and disunity.
Talk about a coincidence. For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything. This entire video was allegedly.
A creepy photograph from a game camera. A creepy photograph from a game camera in Montana, US, shows a mysterious figure walking in the wild at night. And some people online reckon it might be Bigfoot. What do you believe?
Look at Japan. The country of Japan has the highest consumption of ionized water in the world. They are also number one in overall healthcare in the world and number one in longevity in the world. Look at Japan, the country.
Ionized water. Interesting.
Do not check your Ring camera in the middle of the night unless you are prepared to see the unseeable. Watch this. When you are up late, you are not alone. So, do not check your Ring camera in the middle of the night.
What, did it walk through the gate?
This military training footage talks about crystals and frequency manipulation. Watch this.
Now, I want to show you a piece of quartz crystal in its natural form. Now, if we were to examine this carefully, we can see that the quartz crystal has a hexagonal cross-section. That is to say, it has 6 sides. Now also, quartz crystal in its natural form has pointed ends. This one doesn't because a primary cut has already been made on this crystal. Now let's take a look at this drawing so that we can determine more about the quartz crystal. There are 2 views. The top view indeed shows us that the quartz crystal has a hexagon shape, 6 sides. While the lower view points out that indeed the quartz crystal in its natural form does have pointed ends. Now, quartz crystal in its natural form cannot possibly be used in oscillator circuits. It must be cut in a specific manner to exhibit its piezoelectric properties.
Why were soldiers being briefed on this? Because this military training footage talks about crystals.
It is odd that they're having military footage about quartz crystals. What are they trying to show us or teach? The code word for today's video is Hump Day Waters. Go ahead and drop Hump Day Waters in the comments below. That lets me know that you're a real one. You watched the video all the way through to the end, and I just want to say thank you. This was the most disturbing videos on the internet today. See you tomorrow.